Hello, I'm Kieran Lynch and welcome to OviCast, the Teagasc Sheep podcast. Each episode will bring latest insights, advice and technical updates to the sheep industry. We're joined by Teagasc Grass10 advisor Niamh Doyle as she gives a monthly update on grass management tips. Niamh discusses current growth rates, grass covers and managing supply for the weeks ahead. We discussed autumn closing plan, graze outs and managing clover swards at closing. Finally, Niamh discusses the upcoming deadlines for farm labour manure as well as lime and potassium applications. We hear now from Niamh.
Look, I suppose there is huge variability across the countries. Some farms did get a good response there to growth in September. However, some farms didn't get as good response, due to soil moisture deficits. However, in general, grass supply is behind target on most farms. If we look at pasture-based Ireland data, average farm cover is around 770 kilos dry matter per hectare on dry stock farms. And now we're coming into a stage where growth is less than demand. So essentially farms are eating more than what they can grow. Pre-grazing yield on most farms is around 1,600. However, it should be around 2,000 kilos of dry matter per hectare for this time of the year.
Niamh, there's some variability as you indicated around the country. Some farms are certainly on target and have grass supply built up, but for those that are a little bit tight, how can they best manage that supply over the next couple of weeks?
I suppose they can take stock of what is there in terms of grass supply and split paddocks to get more out of them with temporary fencing to ration out the grass. Especially some farms there where soil moisture deficits, grass might be tight, and also then you can reduce stock on farm.
I think what you indicated there, taking stock of what grass is available now, rationing out that supply for the coming weeks is a key step.
Yes, it is, exactly, and splitting paddocks will help you to get more out of the grass.
When you mention splitting paddocks, we also need to think about cleaning out paddocks at this time of the year. What is our target and why is that important?
So it's important that paddocks are grazed out tight to 3.5 to 4 centimetres to allow light to the base of the sward. You can use temporary electric fencing if required to reach post-grazing targets without forcing sheep to graze to low heights for a prolonged period. And remember, do not regraze closed paddocks.
When you mention closed paddocks, what is our target for the coming weeks? How much of the farm should we be closing and what stages?
So as we enter October, it's important to make a plan for closing paddocks on your farm to have sufficient grass supply next spring to feed ewes after lambing. While closing off is influenced by ground conditions, paddock choice during closing is critical. The first paddock closed should be sheltered and close to the lambing area, and then close paddocks in order you plan to graze them next spring. If we look then at the sheep autumn closing planner, March lambing flocks need to have at least 20% of the farm grazed by late October. Continue to close up ground in rotation with a further 20% being closed every 2 weeks. Spring grass does have a higher feeding value than autumn grass and therefore will be more valuable as feed for lactating ewes in spring. So it is essential that we get that 20% to 40% closed up early.
Yeah, that's all really depending on the accumulate covers over the winter. And while we still have reasonable growth rates, that's going to build a bit of cover.
Exactly, so that first 20% is most important to accumulate cover between now and December, and that's the cover you will depend on when you turn out next spring.
Niamh, when we're talking about that closing plan for recently reseeded swards, maybe in late autumn or that, or earlier this spring even, or high clover swards, do we need to tweak our closing slightly on those?
Yes, so we do. So clover swards or reseeded paddocks with white clover should be closed at the end of October or start November. If these paddocks are closed too early, it will leave a heavy cover of grass over the winter, resulting in the young clover being smothered out. It's important then to graze these out tight to allow light to the base of the sward.
Niamh, ground conditions, certainly in the northern part of the country, are probably fairly good still for this time of the year. There is probably an opportunity for some farms to still get lime out.
Yes, so now is a good opportunity to start thinking about lime application for your farm while ground conditions are still good. Only apply lime based on a recent soil test report. Don't exceed the 3 tonne per acre limit in a single application. Target lime then to grazing paddocks with low covers, less than 500 kilos of dry matter per hectare, or recently cut paddocks for bales or reseeded ground. It is also a good opportunity to apply K, so muriate of potash 0050 is your product to use. And then also your deadline for spreading farmyard manure is 1st of November, so don't forget this date.
No, we might as well take the opportunity when it's there, and I think the K application could have been overlooked in recent years. It's certainly important on silage ground.
It is, especially where silage ground takes 100% offtake of P and 100% offtake of K. So replenishing this K at time of year is critical.
Niamh, thanks for that update. We'll chat to you again in November.
Thanks very much, Kieran.
I'll leave it there for this episode. I have included a link in the show notes to the autumn closing planner as a useful template to follow, as well as offering some good practical advice for the weeks ahead. That's it for me. For updates from the sheep program, keep an eye on our Twitter page at Teagasc Sheep. I'm Kieran Lynch. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts.